In June of 1969, the New York City Police raided the Stonewall Inn in Greenwich Village. At the time, the Stonewall Inn was known to cater to the LGBTQ community. And although raids against LGBTQ establishments were not uncommon in the 1960s, this particular raid ignited the Stonewall riots. The Stonewall riots were a series of spontaneous and sometimes violent demonstrations by members of the LGBTQ community in protest against police violence and systemic inequality and injustice faced by the members of the community. For many, Stonewall was the beginning of the modern-day fight for LGBTQ rights in the United States. Since then, every June we celebrate Pride Month, in part to recognize that moment in history, but most importantly to celebrate the LGBTQ community and the contributions its members make to this country, and to remind everyone that the fight against inequality and injustice is not over. Over the coming weeks, we'll celebrate Pride and highlight some of these issues and the work going on here at Corktown and in the community to support LGBTQ rights. But today, I want to focus on another injustice. First, I want to start by saying that helping Corktown Health Center stand with Black Lives Matter. On May 25th, we heard a horrible phrase that has been uttered so many times that frankly, we've become numb to it. The phrase was, "Another black man died at the hands of the police." On May 25th, George Floyd was killed by police in Minneapolis, Minnesota. The irony of how he died is that he was suffocated because a police officer put his knee on his neck with all of his weight and kept it there for almost 9 minutes. For several days after, there were lots of questions about what happened. What did he do? Was he resisting arrest? How could he die? What? Why? The short answer is hard to hear, but sadly it's true. George Floyd died from indifference. The indifference of a police officer to his pleas of "I can't breathe." The indifference of a law enforcement system to hold its officers accountable for their actions. The indifference of leaders to address the issues of systemic injustice and inequality in the Black community. George Floyd's death, like the senseless deaths of other Black men, is rooted in policies that have failed to address issues of discrimination in employment, criminal justice, equal housing, job opportunity, education, health, voting rights, just to name a few. And like the Stonewall Inn raid, the consequence of George Floyd's death has been protests in the streets and sometimes riots across this country. I do not condone violence of any kind, but I do understand the anger and rage of the protesters we see in the news each day. I can't tell any of you how you should feel about these issues, or quite frankly, exactly what you should do. But I would like to make a few suggestions as to how we can ensure that there is change. First, we can stand up for equality. When you see injustice, speak up. Take steps to address systemic racism and implicit bias. 2, complete the census. If you are not counted, you are not seen. The census is used to determine everything from resource allocation for your community to representation in the House of Representatives. Vote. Vote in every election. If you bought into the idea that because your chosen candidate is not on the ballot, or that somehow your vote doesn't count because all politicians are the same, then you've given up your right, your voice, to make change in your community, to hold elected officials accountable. Be active and engaged in your community. Go to your city council meetings. Know the issues that are on the table. Be vocal. Demand answers. And if you can't get those answers, maybe you can become one of those elected officials, city council members. We here at Corktown Health Center support equality and despise injustice. And we will continue our efforts to address these issues through our work and with our voice as a member of the community. I know these are difficult times, but I am personally predisposed to the emotions of hope and optimism. And even though there is a great deal of unrest, questioning, uncertainty, I feel more confident today than ever that if we come together, if we make our voices heard, that we can produce real change. Thank you.